There's a few interesting things. You know, sometimes life goes a little bit by. You probably have heard the phrase "stranger than fiction," which means actual happenings that happened, but you almost wouldn't even think about writing a story about it. But if you have any of those happenings, we want to open it up for later on. If you have an interesting thing that happened to you on the mission field. One of the interesting things that happened to us was every time that we wanted to terminate, that person was ordained to be a minister. And so we finally decided that we better not go to the mission field, because eventually people are going to catch on and nobody is going to even volunteer to replace us, and we're going to get stuck on the mission field and never be able to come back home. It happened to us twice. Remember I said that I lived in Paraguay 13 years as a child growing up. Later the Lord required 13 years of service back. I had the privilege of living there 13 years, but He required 13 years of service to pay for that privilege. No, I'm just teasing. But that some of those things are some interesting things. When we were to terminate from our term of service the first time, Paul Miller was scheduled to come and everything. A couple months before coming, he was ordained to the ministry, and lo and behold, his church decided that he needs to get a little more education at home before he's going to be fit to go to the mission field. So we stayed a year and 3 months longer. The next time that we were to terminate, wouldn't you know, the same thing happened again. Josh, where is he at? Josh Yoder was scheduled. We had all the plans, and we were beginning to wonder, well, doesn't the mission board, or don't the church, well, it wasn't the mission board's fault, but we were like, the church is back home. Don't you understand that it takes about a year for two couples, the one to get rid of their belongings, and the others to make plans to go back and take possession of their belongings. And so, just a couple months before we were terminated, wouldn't you know, there was another ordination, and wouldn't you know, the person that was supposed to replace us got ordained. And so, those are just some of the interesting things that happened in our journey. And the other thing is, they always call me the Gleron, and there was the Gleron. I never did quite figure that one out, but evidently that was how they differentiated between us. So some of you, if you didn't know, there was two of us that were Roman, and of course I was always the Gleron, and then there was the Gross Roman, and eventually the Gleron got bigger than the Gross Roman. The other interesting thing, growing up, who should I live across the road from but the first administrator of the clinic? Not realizing that years later, God would have us start the same thing at a different place, going kind of through it now. I guess it will tell now if I get to go to the closing of the next one. But never thinking that in my lifetime I would be able to have the privilege of starting another clinic, which we did back in Belleza, and it was a very interesting process to go through. John will be explaining some of the process that went through to start the first clinic, and it'll be kind of interesting for me to hear that, because I went through the process of starting the other clinic at the back, or was involved in that. I just was kind of at that place at that time. It's just ironic how life has some of those things. So if you have some interesting things later that you'd like to share, we have time. We just have a couple slides. See, it went blank. But we just have a couple slides of the clinic, and John thought I should show those first, and then he will share, and then we have asked Laura Yoder, Mark Beachy, and Aaron Yoder to just share a little bit. Aaron was also there for the closing. He was about right in the middle, and he had never went back for a visit till it was planned. And I think you were on the same plane, were they? And you didn't know they didn't know about it, and they were on the same plane. Yes. Loyal. Huh? Oh, sorry. Once your grandpa. Yeah, it was Loyal, and they were going down at the same time. Had you realized that they were closing it when you went? Yeah, okay. So that's why they went. But in the Lord's plan, they ended up on the same plane as John Mass, going down for the same thing. And also coming home, never having coordinated the trip together. So there's some interesting things that happen in life. We just came across some old pictures, and also there's not very many pictures. Most of them are from the picture of the closing, and we assume since most of you work there that you have your pictures, so there's really no need for me or somebody else to show their pictures, because it's probably at a different time when you were there, so a lot of things. So we just have a few pictures, and then we'll turn it back over to John, and then the rest of you, however you want to, be Aaron and Loyal and Mark. That will be sharing a little bit on their experience, and then we'll open it up if someone has something else they would like to share. Okay, some of these this is an older picture, and I don't know if it helps, but that's a good picture of the clinic as it was when it started. And probably most of you will not remember that. Those of, I don't remember too much, although we would have came a little bit later, but probably it was a little bit more like that there. First, when you get old, you got to put your glasses on to see the keys. Probably most of you remember it with the porch on it and with the sign up front. Very typical of in the later years of what most of the administrators here would remember the clinic of. That was a little teacher's house that was moved over in later years that was used for some of the visitors. And the barn and the chicken house, and then later years, the meat house where they did the butchering, which was very handy. So here we have the picture of John Mass and his wife and Loyal and Betty. And then the next pictures will be showing at the, this is the new church house in Luz y Esperanza, and I didn't have a picture of the old one to give you a comparison, but that's the new church house. And that's their new school. And that's the inside looking up to the pulpit, just to give you an idea, some of you that haven't been down there. Here was the tent that they had set up there at the clinic for the closing, and so that some of the next pictures will show just some of the preparation and some of the people then that were there at the closing. And here they're preparing the food. And it looks like they had empanadas and a sandwich and a piece of cake and which is very typical for down there. And some of the people that were serving. Some of you might recognize some of those people. The couple kind of in the middle is John Myers and his wife. He's bishop in Florida. And some of the others, Mark and Priscilla in the back left-hand corner there. Those are some of the younger generation there. And that's Lathan's son and his wife. Now, for those, Samuel, maybe you can kind of, some of those people there, I'm not exactly sure what their names are. Would you recognize? Like the first one on On the left?
No, on the right, that you was just looking a little bit away. That's the lawyer. He was born at the clinic and he was proud.
Which one? This one?
No, the one with the black. A little further to the, more to the front.
This one?
Yeah, that one. He was born in the clinic, and when the clinic had a case with the doctor, Romero, legal case, he was the one that defended our case. And he and his sister took the case and they won the case. So he was pretty, and he's also on the city council. And so a lot of things that legal things and things like that, they were very much for the clinic. He said he wants to defend, or he wants, he sort of felt like wanting the clinic because he was born in it. So he's a lawyer now, but he was born in the clinic. And the one, just for the back power, he was on the city council too. Yeah, that, my brother-in-law, he was on the city council. And some of the others in the front row, most of them are from the city council. They're in Camp 9. So they were representatives from Camp 9. Those ones in the front bench.
Laban and Emma Sue, they're on the right. John and Mahala, and Daniel Montrey. Daniels would have loved to be here tonight, but didn't quite work out for them. In the front there is Mark and Lois Fisher, Neoma Benitez. In the back there is, standing in the back is Schlebaugh, Walter. And the other one standing beside him is Kevin Copeland. He's a nurse back in Mayessa. And some of the others that you might know, there's Lucio Almada right there, school teacher for many years. There's another picture of Kevin and his wife. They're both nurses and they're both serving currently back in Mayessa Clinic. This is, and right here in the front is the ones that replaced us in Mayessa. Sanford and Juanita? Okay. This is Teodosio Lopez. This is another one of the Lopez Oregos, right? Nelson. And I'm not sure who the others are. Then some of the clinic staff, they're to the left. And some of the clinic staff, they're singing a song. Ivan Beachy from the AMA board was also there. Right, that's Rick and Valletta. They were the last administrators that were there. Milani and Eugene, Mario behind there, Mark Eichhorn behind Mario. Some of the, and I think that's Samuel Bontrager. Is that a slave ball from Florida? To the left?
Yeah.
Yes. Mario and Linda. That's Pablo Lopez, and he is on the council,
President of the city council.
And that one is
Rodi.
who?
Rodi Lopez.
Okay.
He's also from
And they're presenting AMA with the certificates or the recognition, plaque of recognition. And of course, the reporter's there with his recorder right up there, Daniel's face. another one of the officials, I guess. Some more there. And here is the tribute that was given from the Municipalidad de Dr. Juan Eulogio Estigarribia to the Fundación AMA, Amish Mennonite Aid, and for their services to the families, the más humildes, which doesn't necessarily means more the ones with less resources. And also a recognition to the clinic there. These are just some of the certificates. And most of you would know Lucio and Cheryl Armada. Although one project was completed, another one was started in Villesa. We just threw in a couple of these to give you an idea that the work didn't cease. And the interesting thing was, there was a few ladies that came back, that came to the clinic, that were born at the other clinic and were living in the area back where we were, and were now having their children at this clinic in Villesa. It was quite interesting for us. That's the church house in Villesa, and that's the new addition to the schoolhouse. That's the old schoolhouse that we started out with. That's a picture inside of the school. That's Dr. Anton Schmidt, his wife. She's from the Philippines, and he is the grandson of John Schmidt. His father's name is David Schmidt. His uncle Wesley also is a doctor, and he has been coming there ever since it was open, and he would be there now 7 years. They are very mission-minded. He comes back there, and the people really like him. So we're really thankful. And the U.S. people that go down to serve, they like that because they can talk English. Sorry, the picture's a little bit out of order, but this is an old picture of someone up on the porch, and I'm not sure if we can recognize it, doing a devotional. They usually do a devotional once a week, and this shows the people that came to the clinic, and some of the things that the doctor. And he did wear out. Some of you probably remember the Foster Volks and the Indians, Sarah and Dr. Miller, and some of them went down there. Vera, yeah. Yeah, Sarah's in the background, Laverne, and then Vera. And there's Foster Bolt in the middle there. And that pretty well takes care of the slide. So, hopefully for those of you that served there at the clinic, it was a little bit hard for the colony to see it close. I'm sure it left quite a hole there. But there were some interesting facts that Laban had put together, and if we have time, we might just do that a little bit at the tail end. But right now, we're going to give time over to John Mast. He's going to give us some of his experience and a little bit of history on it, and then we'll just go from there.